So today we're going to be talking about some breaking news. As we can see here, top stories, Qur'an burner Salwan Momika shot dead in Sweden. So this individual here, as we can see, he is being eulogized as a Qur'an burner. All of these different articles are just talking about how this individual is by and large known for the fact that he would burn the Qur'an. He would set up anti-Islam campaigns and basically try to upset Muslims and be as provocative as possible. And he would do things like this outside of the mosque on the greatest holiday of the year for Muslims, Eid al-Adha. Now, before reaching Europe, it said that he was a war criminal that led an Iranian-backed militia in Iraq, which operated as a death squad. And here, there's very graphic footage that I can't show, but this is him here. So this is the history and the reality of Salwan. But then we can see that he fled to Europe, and he would just do the most provocative things that he could possibly do. Here he is, stepping on a Qur'an, flying the Israeli flag, just obviously trying to provoke the Muslims, trying to upset them. But he is not alone in this sort of behavior, because there is an entire industry of people that make their careers provoking Muslims, lying about Islam, trying to portray Islam negatively, essentially trying to incite the Muslims to do something. For example, here we see David Wood, who is one of these people. For years, David Wood has been doing things like this, trying to be as disrespectful as possible toward Muslims. Here he has a picture where he presumably urinated on pages of the Qur'an. And he's literally trying to incite violence against himself. What did he write? He wrote, "Come get me, cowards." And he has been behaving like this for years. This is his career, to the extent that he is supposedly this Christian apologist, yet his main collaborator is not even a Christian. It's an atheist, or perhaps an agnostic ex-Muslim, whose career is also all about bashing Islam, trying to be as disrespectful as possible towards Muslims. He says he ordered dozens of Qur'ans. They will be burned in honor of Salwan. So there is an entire industry, and there has been for a long time, where people's entire lives and careers are dedicated to being as disrespectful as possible toward Muslims, spreading lies about Islam, trying to antagonize Muslims, trying to instigate something to happen. And then if and when something does happen, they then use it to try and justify their existence. But they can't even do that honestly. So, for example, Amy Meck, I really don't know who she is. All I know is that every time she comes up on my feed, she's spreading some sort of lie and inciting some sort of hatred against Muslims. This post has 2.2 million views. David Wood's provocation was posted underneath this. She said, "Breaking, a Sharia-style execution has just unfolded in Sweden." Now, first of all, no, it hasn't. BBC reported that a man who sparked violent protests after burning the Qur'an has been shot dead in Sweden. He was killed in an apartment. Stockholm police said in a statement that 5 people had been arrested. So that's all that we know right now. We don't know who the 5 people were. We don't know who did this. We don't know for certain why they did it. Yet we have this person lying, saying that a Sharia-style execution just unfolded. Like, the very fact that people would even think that somebody getting shot in an apartment is a Sharia-style execution shows not just how ignorant people are regarding the Sharia and Islam and Muslims, but the fact that it doesn't even register with people regarding how preposterous of a statement that is. When it comes to Muslim countries that implement the Sharia, you have judges, you have trials, you have prisons, people get arrested, they get sentenced by a judge. It's not a matter of running into apartments. That's so absurd. She continues, Salwan, an outspoken critic of Islam, was shot dead during a live broadcast. This was not just murder, it was a calculated silencing, a brutal enforcement of blasphemy laws on Western soil. Now look at how quick people are to make things up and to lie just in order to push their agenda. She doesn't know what this was. She doesn't know who did it. She doesn't know why they did it. She's jumping to a bunch of conclusions. And the irony is that this person was so disrespectful, and everything about him points to just how provocative he was, trying to be as nasty as possible towards Muslims, that they're just assuming, well, yeah, he was so nasty that if somebody shot him, it must have been as retaliation for just how disrespectful he was. But the reality is, we don't know yet. What does she say? "Rest in peace, my friend. You will be so very missed." Yeah, such a good friend, because just like you, he loved to push a bunch of fake anti-Muslim rhetoric and be as nasty as possible. Alex Jones then quote tweeted her and said, "Islam will destroy the West if not contained." Now, I guess it's a good thing that most people already know that Alex Jones is completely off his rocker and untrustworthy, but it just goes to show how birds of a feather flock together. Alex Jones, the same guy that referred to the tragic Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting as a hoax. In 2012, a nightmare became reality, to say the least, where a shooter went to an elementary school and killed 20 children and 6 adult staff members. The shooting had barely happened when Alex Jones began pushing the falsehood that it was a hoax. Victims' families who sued Jones said they were subjected to years of torment, threats, and abuse by people who believed the lies told on his show. One father said conspiracy theorists urinated on his 7-year-old son's grave and threatened to dig up the coffin. Testifying in the Texas case, Jones acknowledged in 2022 that the shooting was 100% real and that it was absolutely irresponsible to call it a hoax. And therefore, he was sentenced to pay $1.1 billion of Sandy Hook damages. So this confirmed liar, known for spreading such misinformation, is trying to fearmonger about Islam destroying the West. I mean, maybe after his lawsuit, he's scared to get creative with his conspiracy theories nowadays. I mean, he can pretty much rest assured that attacking Islam and Muslims isn't going to get him in any trouble. But I mean, he is supposed to be the epitome of a conspiracy theorist. Why are you going to just assume that this guy was killed by a Muslim? It's not like this guy was doing Sweden and the non-Muslims there any favors. I mean, most people want to just live peaceful lives and get along with everyone. They don't make it their life's mission to be as disrespectful as humanly possible toward what other people consider sacred. I mean, look at the problem this guy was causing for Sweden. Officials from a number of countries, including many in the Middle East, have condemned the desecration of the Qur'an by a man in Sweden's capital during a protest authorized by police. He tore up and lit pages of the Islamic holy book on fire on Thursday as Muslims celebrated the Eid al-Adha holiday. Turkish president said, "We will teach the arrogant Western people that it is not freedom of expression to insult the sacred values of Muslims. It is unacceptable to allow these anti-Islamic actions under the pretext of freedom of expression," the Turkish foreign minister tweeted. Turning a blind eye to such atrocious acts is to be complicit. The president said, "If you don't show respect to the religious beliefs of the Republic of Turkey or Muslims, you will not receive any support for NATO from us." Morocco went beyond a statement of condemnation and recalled its ambassador to Sweden for an indefinite period. Egypt said the act was shameful, especially since it took place on Eid al-Adha. Iraq called the act racist and irresponsible. Jordan said it was an act of dangerous hate and a manifestation of Islamophobia that incites violence and insulting religions, and cannot be considered a form of freedom of expression at all. And as you can see, country after country condemned this and were upset by it. But Mr. Alex, King of Conspiracy Theories Jones, couldn't find some sort of connection to the government. He's going to just blame Islam. And just to be clear, I'm not saying it was a conspiracy theory. I don't know what happened. But neither does he, and neither does she. All that we know is that this guy was being as provocative as possible, just like his buddies who have safely made a career out of this for so many years. So I don't personally condone anyone taking justice into their own hands and doing these sorts of things. In fact, this is what these people want. I mean, he's literally writing, "Come get me, cowards." They want you to do these things. The more awful and provocative they are, the more attention they get, the more reach that they have. And they know deep down, Muslims are peaceful people. That's why they get away with it for so many years. In fact, if they were this disrespectful to non-Muslims, something would probably happen to them a lot sooner. Because non-Muslims, they truly don't understand how disrespectful this sort of behavior is. So as we can see, they're going to use this news as much as they can to spread hatred against Islam and Muslims, to push this idea that the West is in danger because of Muslims. Even though people, sometimes they are literally, as we can see here, they're literally asking for somebody to do something to them. But my advice is, brothers and sisters, don't take the bait. It is upon us to follow the laws of the land. And even in a Muslim country, it's for the authorities to deal with these sorts of things. But the reality is they wouldn't even do things like this in a Muslim country. And Islam also doesn't allow Muslims to act this way towards people of other religions. Allah knows best, and Allah will judge all of us accordingly in the hereafter. May Allah guide all of us. May Allah protect us. Thank you for watching. jazakumAllahukhairan. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.